I would say in our case, it started with just mutual respect. My co-founders and I met in the material science and engineering department. I was an undergrad and they were a grad student and postdoc, and I really looked up and admired them for the research that they did and also just the way they treated people and how friendly and kind they were. And so it was a strong desire to work together and really a high degree of professionalism. And over time, having spent so much time together, that's morphed into a friendship. But for us, it was really at its core discovering we really liked spending time together and could be really effective at getting the work done. And I think at the end of the day, that's the two things that we've found it takes. It's you need to be around people who you're excited to be around and who you're willing to put in the long hours with and travel to and take international flights to China. And then it also needs to be that, while you're together, you're getting whatever work you need to do done. And as we've grown, we've now have 12 people on our team, and it's just been about finding people who fit the criteria and just kind of making the circle bigger. I would say, in our role as a technology startup, on one end you have the customer, the person who's using the product, buying the product. In our case, that's the same thing. And then, on the other end, you have the kind of science and upstream development. So there's kind of that going from the idea in a lab in someone's head all the way through all the people involved in development, the industrial designers, the manufacturers, the suppliers, the logistics company to the customer. And then, on another end, you have the investors and capital markets that enable us to actually create our business, because it is a capital-intensive process. And I think it's easy to lose sight of just the people on your team who come into work every day. But if I were to actually try to make a list of all the people involved, it easily balloons to thousands of people if we start getting into suppliers or even the UPS and USPS people who deliver our packages. There's so many points where you're relying on people outside of your work, and I think we've really learned that ultimately to succeed, you need to have mutually beneficial relationships. The people who are selling you components need to make money, your manufacturer needs to make money, the logistics company that houses your inventory needs to make money, and ultimately you need to make money as a business as well. And figuring out what everyone cares about and what are those right incentives. And from our bankers to the battery supplier through our engineers, it's really touches people all over the world. And I haven't even gotten into the fact of where are the raw materials coming from. The silicon is mined from somewhere, the cobalt, the metal, the aluminum. It's when you really zoom out, you realize it's a global system and it's all interconnected. You can't have a customer getting an Embr wave without every single person in between that, including whoever paved the road that was delivered on. Ultimately, it comes back to communication, whether that's information needs to be shared across people to make decisions about what size, bracelet do we want to make, through how powerful should the cooling be. You need to make sure that information is flowing, and then also just the information and communication side around emotions. Everyone cares, everyone's working really hard, people are stressed, people have things going on outside, and just recognizing that, it's stressful, things do go wrong, people get upset, and finding ways to communicate that in respectful ways, and both letting someone know if you're upset with them, but doing it in a way that's respectful, owning a mistake if you make it, and ultimately just coming back to this idea of respect for each other and saying, look, we all want this to succeed in the same way. We all believe in the same thing. And if you start from that premise, it's a lot easier to work through the difficult times and failures.